Hello. Welcome to our investigation of Chapter 11 of the textbook. We're looking at some new religious expressions that come out of old religious ideas. My name is Dr. Tim Harrison. Come to you from my groundhog burrow somewhere down in Bristol, Virginia, and I come with a 1-week-old haircut. We're going to look at a couple of religious expressions that are new, somewhat new, and are really derivatives of older expressions. We're not going to look at all of them that are in the chapter. You'll explore those, but just sort of talk about some that have come out and why this happens. There are always those who want to improve upon or to move their religious expression to a more universal stance, and this is quite often what we see in these religious expressions. Now, you might have heard these religious expressions called by other names. You will hear them sometimes called sects or cults or new religion or new faith. They're called by all sorts of things. There are actually specific definitions for the things I use, and we quite often use them incorrectly. So we're just going to look at these as religious expressions. The first one we'll look at is the Baha'i faith. Now, there are Baha'i temples in America. Quite often, if you go to an airport, you will meet people from the Baha'i faith that will give you some literature and talk to you a little bit. They are derivatives or a small break from Islam. They were created from the writings of Bab, and then they began to develop their ideas through one distinct person. They believe that God sends many prophets into the world to focus people's attention. They believe that Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad were all great prophets, and that they teach and lead us to one truth, and that you can come to this one truth through many different roads, they would say. They believe in one world peace. They believe that nations and gender and race and all of these things must disappear in order for all mankind to come together. Sounds like a New World idea. Now, the Baha'i have no clergy or a hierarchy in their religion. They meet in homes. They're very peaceful. They believe in peace. Actually, in Illinois, there is the headquarters for the American Baha'i faith. But as I said, in Georgia at least, you can find some of these smaller temples around. And quite often the followers are westernized former followers of Islam. They believe, again, in world peace and global cooperation, and they're very tied into the United Nations and what the United Nations is doing. Now, another religion that's a little different is the Church of Satan. And yes, you heard me correctly, the Church of Satan. Started back in the 1960s. Now, this is certainly the basis of a great deal of movies and speculation, but actually what the Church of Satan is, the name's really in some ways a metaphor, I guess, or a play on words. Because what they believe is humanism. They're, for the most part, they're atheistic. They believe that humans are the center of moral belief, that human beings decide what is moral and what is not, that people make their own decision. They are in many ways, they are the children of the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who believed that God was dead and man would rise up as a Superman who would take responsibility for his life. Some of you have probably read some of Friedrich Nietzsche's work. I mentioned him a few chapters back. And so Satanism is not what we think of sacrificing cats and dogs and all the evil things. It's just simply a humanistic religion. And quite often, and as you can think, some people see science as sort of the basis for the Church of Satan today, not because science is evil, but because they believe that science answers to questions, that no longer religious expression and God is no longer needed. Now, another religion that is pretty popular out west is called Scientology. Scientology was started by a writer, L. Ron Hubbard, who wrote science fiction. He believed that these souls have traversed the universe, that they possess human bodies, and they're entities, and they believe that these souls are part of the creation of human beings. So they believe in a soul, but the soul is really a energy force, a universal energy force. They practice what is called clearing the soul, that is to clear your soul of negative thought and negative desire, and to develop a desire to help others is important. Now, as you can imagine, Scientology is really the religion of the rich, and that's one of the things that people who have broken off from Scientology have said. Now, it's a very new religion, and you might know some famous names that are a part of it out of Hollywood. There aren't too many Scientologists outside of the West. There are some, but not very many. Now, the Druids are another interesting religion. That's actually an older religion that has been brought back. The Druids were worshipers of nature. They have male and female deities. They focus on nature. It's almost a transcendental idea of nature being God, and they worship that nature. There is a place not far from my hometown called the Guidestones of Georgia, which have been the subject of a lot of documentaries on television. And if you look up Guidestones of Georgia, you will see that, and it's a belief of one world, of diminishing the population of the earth. They believe that a great event will do that, and it's the worship of nature. After the Druids, there are the Wiccans. Wicca is an old practice of natural religion. Quite often it is called witch or witchcraft. The participants are called witches. The men are called warlocks, although some people have disputed that. From my research, they are referred to as warlocks. They believe in, again, it's really a religion of nature, the belief that certain incantations and certain acts of nature can heal and can also give insight to individuals. It's very popular in the Northeast, not quite as popular in the South and in other places. So it's just another type of religious expression. Most of the time it is centered around Diana, the goddess of ancient Rome. You will, if you've read the book of Acts, you know that there were temples of Diana during that time as well. It's quite often thought of as the religion of the ancient Britons, but it actually extended much farther than just the Isle of Britain. It extended on out into the Germanic tribes and even into the Franks or the Gauls down below. Now, these are just a few of the new expressions of religion that we have. There are others in your chapter, as I mentioned. You probably know of other religious expressions as well that have developed. And so that tends to happen. Religions tend to break off. People who are part of one religion think that they can either perfect it or purify it, and so they start their own sects in order to try to develop that idea. So that's been going on for quite a while. So I hope you enjoyed chapter 11, and it's again a busy week. You're going to have 2 chapters this week, so stay on top of everything. And remember this little bit of wisdom from my hometown, Lexington, Georgia. A bulldog can always whip a skunk, but sometimes it's just not worth it.